Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new and you're stopping by for the first time, welcome. I am so happy to have you. I would love it if you would stick around by clicking the red subscribe button and then tapping the bell and all to be notified every single time I upload. If you enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Share it with your friends if you think they would enjoy it too. And for today, I have for you 4 Dollar Tree DIYs. I have been wanting to bring these to you guys for a while. So with all that being said, let's jump right into today's DIYs.
I want to be daring, baby, dance the night away. I let my head down if I want.
To start off, you're going to take these two signs. One I got around Christmas time, but they do have the ones that I picked up first for Easter, and you could do two of that shape. I just had these two shapes, so I figured I would just use them. And then you also need the ones to my right, and those are 5x5 decor pieces. So I start off by removing the tags, and then I take my blow dryer because this sticker wanted to give me trouble coming up, which usually they do. So I just take my blow dryer on high heat and heat it up, and then take my little scraper tool and scrape up the edges, and then it's really easy to peel up. So for the 5x5 decor pieces, I just start by taking the middle piece off. Sometimes they give me trouble, but these came off really easily. So after I pulled them off, I just took my finger sander and I just sanded off the middle because they did have staples in them, and it was rough where they did come up. And then I used my Dyson to vacuum all the dust up. I then take my white Waverly chalk paint and my favorite paintbrush. These are always linked down below. And I go ahead and give one of the signs and one of the round circle pieces from the decor pieces, plus both the square decor pieces, a good coat of white paint. And that's white Waverly chalk paint. I then go ahead and let them dry and then put a second coat, just so that way you can't see that brown color through or the pink on the decor pieces. And the way that I do this, sometimes I'll pop them in the oven around 150 for a few minutes, but today I already had my blow dryer out and I didn't feel like moving them all around, so I just took my blow dryer in between coats, that way to speed up the painting and drying process. For this next sign, I use some mineral Waverly chalk paint, and I also give that a really good coat. That one only needed one coat because of the color and because this chalk paint is really thick, but I have found that it just depends what color you're using. Sometimes you don't need a second coat, and sometimes I don't need a second coat with the white, but because that brown shows through, I did have to do a second coat. After they're all dried, I went ahead and just made sure that this is 5x5 because honestly, you guys, it's Dollar Tree. Sometimes they're not exactly what they're supposed to be, but these were 5x5. So I have this buffalo check scrap paper, and I just took my ruler, marked where 5 inches was on each side, and then I go ahead with my paper cutter. I got this paper cutter off, I think, eBay. I got it a while ago, so I'm not too sure, but I can link a paper cutter down below if you guys want me to. So after I have my marks, I just went ahead and cut them where I marked it. And I always tend to cut just a little extra, just so that way I have a little bit of room to work. But I did have to cut off a little bit of the edge, but no big deal. So after I have my paper cut, I go ahead with a school glue stick, and then I place my buffalo check scrapbook paper inside of one of my square decor pieces. I then just smooth that down and I start working on the next one. I do the same with this one, and I did want to mention, you guys, I have had this picture in my files for a while. I literally just looked up a barn image on Google, and then this was actually like a painting you can buy. I just took a screenshot of it and then copy and paste it into Word and printed it out. So after I have both of my images in my decor pieces, I take my hot glue gun and some jute twine, and I just start on one side, glue down one side, and then stick my jute down that side. And then to get really nice corners, I kind of like a rounded corner. If you like a square corner, then you can skip this step. But again, I like rounded corners, so I stick my finger on the corner and just kind of pull it so that it makes a rounded corner. And then I go all the way around and cut the end. And I do this to both pieces. I then just take a lighter, and I hate the flyaways all over this jute twine. If you like it, you can skip this step, but I can't stand it. So I do always take a lighter to the flyaways just so that it looks a lot more clean. So here I am showing you how to do a bow. I get so many questions, so I'm doing this as slow as possible. If you would like to slow it down even more, up in the right hand corner you'll see 3 dots, and you can choose to slow this down, or if you need to rewind, you can double tap on the left a few times and it will back it up. That way you can watch it again. So I'm not going to explain it just because it's really hard to explain, but again, you can rewatch it if you need it. I went ahead and made 2 jute bows. I cut the ends where I want them, and then I just kind of figure out where I want my jute bow to go. And because the windmill was up in the left-hand corner and then the right-hand corner was kind of bare, I did decide to put my bow a little bit towards the right side. But if you are doing this, you can put your bow wherever you want, or you can choose not to do a bow. That's up to you. Next, I take that round white piece that came off the decor piece. I have this stencil, and I just go ahead and stencil this chicken on there. I was going to do something different, but then I remembered that I had this, so I thought that would look pretty cute right in the middle. So I just go ahead and paint that on. This is a silk screen stencils. They are by far my favorite because they're sticky and you can reuse them a whole bunch, and they're not a real big pain in the butt to try to make sure that it doesn't bleed. After I have my chicken on, I take my natural bristle brush from Walmart. It comes in a pack of, I think 8, I'm not sure, and I just dry brush all the way around the edges. So these had little staples in the back, and I knew that it wouldn't sit flat, so I just took some pliers and I ripped those staples out of that block piece. I then just took some hot glue and I went ahead and glued that right into the middle. After I have this glued down into the middle, I then do the same thing with my bow. I make sure that it is how I want it to be, fluff it up, play with it. Sometimes one side is like bigger than the other, so I just make sure that it is how I want it to be, cut the ends, and then glue it to the top, and that one is done as well. So moving on to our bigger pieces, I went on the internet and I printed this off. This is a free printable. I will leave the link down below, but I just printed this out, took my graphite paper, and I traced this on there. After I traced it on, you guys know the drill. I took my ultra fine paint pen. I got this at Walmart, and I just went over everything that I just traced. I did leave the farm fresh. I just outlined it because the rest of it was all filled in, and I did think that it would look much better if I left it like that, just to give it kind of some contrast and a little bit of a difference. Sorry, my big hair is in the way. I don't know why I always have that problem. I don't realize it until I am editing, you guys. I try really hard not to do it, but I honestly don't even notice that I'm doing it. Next, I just go ahead with a pencil and I just outline the entire outside, leaving like maybe a quarter of an inch, and then I go over that with a black paint pen. I outline it first just to make sure that I can get my lines straight because I don't have the steadiest hand, but I found that if I outline it first with pencil and then go in with the paint pen, it works out much better. So I set that aside for a minute to work on this one. Now, I've had these stencils for a while. These are from Chalk Couture. I never use the Chalk Couture paste. I've always used chalk paint with these. So I just start by, these are like layered stencils, which I really like because it gives it dimension. But I start with the first one, I paint that on, and then I let that dry, and then I go in and pull it up. And I did use ink Waverly chalk paint for the first part, and for the second part I used my elephant. Now, I know not everybody is going to have this stencil. It's a really pricey stencil. Let me know if you want to know more details about it. I can let you know how to get one, but I will tell you this stencil was probably $40, maybe 35. I can't remember exactly, but I do know it was a lot. But I have used it a lot and I really love it. It's a huge stencil, so sometimes you get what you pay for, and this has really held up and I love the design, so I was willing to pay that for something so nice. But what I was trying to get at is a lot of you guys aren't going to have this, so all you have to do is go right on Google, print out a barn, and just trace it like I normally do. I normally don't like using stencils just because I know that not everybody is going to have the stencils that I have, but I do know that you can go right on Google, print out whatever you like, and just trace it on, and it's easy as that. Next, I just go ahead and stencil on, it says Life is Better on the Farm. This did come with this stencil. So in this stencil, it is pricey, but you get this barn, and they're layered. You get the windmill, and you get the wording. So again, I did think it was worth it. So right here where I'm stenciling, it looked kind of bare and I wasn't too sure what to put there, so I just pulled out another stencil. You guys, I have a whole folder, a 3-fold folder full of stencils. I really love stencils, but I just went ahead and stenciled on Established 1845, and I did the same that I did on the other one. I traced out the frame, and then I went in with my black paint pen and went over my lines. So after I had this all framed out, I take some jute cord and I go ahead, oh, I'm sorry guys, I took my natural bristle brush and I dry brushed around the edges of this white sign. I did not do the other sign just because I liked the way that it looked without it. Sorry, you guys, it's midnight here and this pregnant mama is tired. Anyway, here we go. I take my jute cord and I tie a knot. I cut a pretty long piece just so that way I would have enough, but tied a knot and I tightened it up pretty tight just so that way, yeah, you can see the knot, but the smaller the knot, the more you're not really going to notice it. I then just take some painter's tape on the end and I take my beads and I put 6 beads onto my jute cord. And I did do this for both of them, the exact same thing. So after I have my beads on there, and you could do more or less, it's just your preference, but I then just made a loop and tied it. That way you have something to hang this with. If you're just going to set this out somewhere, then you can skip this step entirely, because if you're not hanging it, then the beads aren't really playing a part. But again, that's your preference. After I had it tied, I went ahead and made 2 bows. The buffalo check I got from Walmart, and I just went ahead and made sure that it was the length I wanted it, and then I cut dovetails in the end. I think this roll of ribbon was maybe $2. Don't quote me on that, but I know it wasn't very much, and I think you get maybe 3 feet. Don't quote me on that. So after I have it I figured out where I wanted it, I went ahead and glued it down, and then I did the same with this one. I got this natural looking ribbon around Christmas time at Walmart, cut dovetails in that after I made the bow, and then that is it. But I did want to show you, because I've always had trouble keeping my ribbon together, so I wanted to show you that I just use sewing pins, and I just pin them and they stay really, really nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I don't know if you guys saw my new glue gun. You guys, I love this glue gun. It stands on its own. It not only has an on and off button, but it's also dual temp, so I will leave that in the description box below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know which one is your favorite. Thank you for sticking around to the end. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye. But you should know that I'm looking at you. You make